Petrokostas here. Looks like there's some breaking news about the nuclear test site in North Korea known as Punggye-ri. Looks like they may be preparing for some kind of nuclear test. Let me show you what they found. So this is from Yonhap News, and I'll put the link in the description below. And it's saying they've seen trailer movement is seen at the nuclear test site in satellite photos. Some movement of what appears to be trailers have been detected at North Korea's nuclear test site in the northeastern mountainous area, a U.S. research monitoring website said Saturday. Commercial satellite imagery taken on April 19th shows signs of a few mining carts along the tracks leading to the spoil pile and a small equipment trailer near the north portal, the tunnel that Pyongyang has apparently been preparing for a nuclear test in the Punggye region, according to the 38 North website. The analyst from the monitoring site said a net canopy, which is presumed to have been placed to conceal the equipment, remains intact, while the pumping of water out of the tunnel, which is necessary to keep the environment surroundings at an optimal level for carrying out a test, seems to have stopped. The website commented that while it is not clear whether the noted activity is a tactical pause before another nuclear test, the imagery continues to indicate the test site appears able to conduct a sixth nuclear test at any time once the order is received from Pyongyang. So, there you go. It's a possibility that we could see another nuclear test from North Korea, which would be their sixth here shortly.
Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, who's a former CIA-trained intelligence operative and senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research, and also Mark Jacobson, former senior advisor to General Petraeus and a senior fellow at the Salve Regina University Pell Center. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I think that the most important thing first is to address if they were to launch a missile over the weekend in commemoration of the birth of their founder, what would that potentially look like, and what kind of sophisticated technology and potentially nuclear intercontinental missile are we talking about here, Tony?
Well, Martha, we have very effective counter-missile capability already in the theater. The Aegis cruisers that we both, the Japanese and we both have, are very effective in capturing a missile in boost phase. That is to say, the initial takeoff going into the atmosphere is a very good time to do it. We're good. The problem is this. We do know for a fact they do have the ability to reach Japan and our allies, the South Koreans. There's a very good possibility, based on what I've been told, that they can reach the United States with a ballistic missile. The question becomes, is the technology sufficient to mount a nuclear warhead to the nose cone of those missiles? So this is no small issue, but it's very clear that one of the reasons we have a high posture at this point is what Mr. Trump has said is the policy. We will not stand by, like the previous administrations, and allow for the North Koreans to behave badly. And I think it's being made very clear by Syria action, by the dropping of the Moab yesterday in Afghanistan, that military force is very much on the table.
We've moved ships and planes into the region, Mark, and you combine that with the increased dialogue between President Xi of China and President Trump of the United States, where they seem to be getting somewhere to a place that we have not seen prior presidents be able to get in the past. So that's got to have North Korea sitting up and paying attention. The question is, how do they respond?
This is why I'm really surprised, actually. I think President Trump's actually made some inroads with the Chinese. I'd rather see him capitalize on that and do what the last couple of administrations haven't been able to do, and that is push the Chinese towards leveraging the North Koreans a little bit. I'm just a little concerned about the bellicose language coming. I mean, I'm never concerned about the North Korean bellicose language in terms of in terms of what they're saying. I mean, they're a dangerous country, but they like the bluster. What I'm concerned about is taking this sort of preemptive action in the wake of a nuclear test, which is of less concern to me than is a potential missile launch or an actual missile launch.
I mean, you know, there was some discussion that perhaps we would take some kind of preemptive action. That has been shot down by everybody that we have spoken to, pardon the pun. I mean, Tony, I don't think that anyone believes that that's on the table right now, is it?
No, it's not. Let me be clear on this, though. We've planned for that contingency. President Trump has been very good about going back and looking at options which have been presented to previous leaders. I've worked this North Korean issue since 1992, and one of my dear friends, Jim Woolsey, and I have worked a number of concepts Jim Woolsey being the former director of CIA, which would have looked at a potential preemptive action, a number of things. But I don't believe that's on the table. With that said, I think that President Trump wants it to be known that the concept of potential military action, especially when you're guarding nuclear weapons, is something that's on the table.
You hear this language and you see the shift in this dynamic, Mark, and it does in some ways remind you of, President Reagan saying tear down this wall, this kind of ability to confront people who have not been confronted in years and years and years, and to shake up the status quo of relationships with our enemies in a way that is unnerving, but also in some ways opens a door, does it not?
It can. I don't like the Reagan analogies because Reagan not only did a great job in terms of showing that the U.S. had and would use military action if necessary, but he was also very adept at using covert intelligence action, and I know there's a big problem there when we talk about Iran-Contra, but he was also highly effective at using soft power in a way that we often don't think of Reagan using. So,
but isn't soft power sitting with the Chinese president at a dinner table and coming away with a pretty different relationship?
No, that's diplomacy. That's different than soft power. What I'm talking about is using organizations like USAID and State Department to build the sort of civil society programs that undermine the strength of our enemies. Now, North Korea, a little bit different. But what I'm talking about is a comprehensive approach, a strategy. I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing are individual data points. So I'm not ready to call Trump the Reagan of his era.
Tony, what do you think?
No, I think soft power was very much used with President Xi. They're talking about using economic levers, if you will. That's why you've seen Mr. Trump moderate his commentary regarding the Chinese. So I think he's on that path. The question becomes, will he be successful as Reagan in implementing, using all elements of nation power to be effective? That's TBD. We're less than 100 days in, but I think he's on the right path.
That's the open question. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mark and Tony, good to see you both.
Thank you.